On September 11, 2001, radical jihadists fundamentally changed our country. They brought war to America's front door through the use of passenger aircraft, violently rammed into city buildings, and crashed into rural fields. This marked the beginning of a new era for the 75th Ranger Regiment. No longer was it a unit used for short-duration missions in trouble spots around the world. When those towers fell, it marked the beginning of a transition to more than a decade of sustained combat. The Rangers didn't know it at the time, but the regiment would not miss a single day of the long war on terror that was coming. For the 75th Ranger Regiment, the war started immediately. The regiment took its first casualties on the night of October 19, 2001. Specialist John Edmonds and Private First Class Christopher Stonecipher, of 375, were killed when the Black Hawk helicopter they were riding in crashed. On the night of October 19th through 20th, 2001, A and C companies of the 3rd Ranger Battalion conducted a combat parachute jump into Objective Rhino, which was located southwest of Kandahar, Afghanistan. This marked the official transition from a largely garrison unit that trained for combat to a force to be reckoned with that was now at war. 4 MC-130s dropped 199 Rangers from the unusually low elevation of 800 feet above ground level, with zero illumination present, in order to seize a landing strip for use with follow-on forces, provide an aerial refueling point, as well as destroy any Taliban forces present. The mission was also planned in the hope of having a psychological effect on the enemy, proclaiming, "You wanted a fight? Well, here we are," to those responsible for the terror attack just 5 weeks prior. 11 enemy combatants were reported killed by the ordnance dropped by bombers in preparation of the target ahead of the combat jump, and another 9 were reported as fleeing the objective. By the time the Rangers landed and assaulted the objective, there was only 1 enemy fighter remaining, which they handily eliminated. The mission was a success, completed in less than 6 hours, with no American personnel killed and only 2 wounded in the initial jump. Although this was the first combat jump of the war, it would not be the last. Not even a month later, on November 10, 2001, the Regimental Reconnaissance Detachment, RRD, Team 3, performed a combat military freefall jump into Rath Drop Zone in southeastern Afghanistan. The mission was to establish a combat landing strip for follow-on forces to land on. The mission was yet another early success for the regiment. The next combat jump would come only days later, on November 13, 2001, when 2 squads of Rangers from B Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion, with attached U.S. Air Force Special Tactics personnel, performed another combat parachute jump onto a drop zone in the vicinity of Alimardan Khani Bagat, Afghanistan. This small element again jumped with zero illumination, in even colder temperatures, which makes parachutes descend faster, exiting the aircraft from only 500 feet above the ground. This was dangerously low, as a parachute malfunction from this height would not allow enough time for activation of the reserve parachute. Upon hitting the ground, almost everyone in the small Ranger assault element sustained injuries. Despite the hard landing, the Rangers were unfazed and continued the mission anyway. After successful completion of their objective, they moved out at a run to make it to the extraction point on time, again using mind over matter to operate while injured. A week later, RRD Team 3 conducted a combat static line jump onto Shiloh Drop Zone in southeastern Afghanistan in order to establish another flight landing strip for follow-on forces. Establishing these hubs for aircraft to land on were vitally important to the war effort, as Afghanistan is a landlocked country, inaccessible to naval landings, as well as being nearly out of range for rotary wing aircraft to access. Although the